you, JNU Academic, for providing me this opportunity to discuss my supervisor's paper. Uh, so many points have already been raised, uh, which is the methodological aspect of this paper, and the, as Professor Bhattacharya has explained, the main key arguments of the paper. And what I'll do is, for those who have not read the paper, I'll just briefly talk about the key points, takeaways of the arguments of the paper, and then make a few comments, observations, which I have, along with a few questions. So, first, something which we already discussed is that in West Bengal's political field, Bhattacharya writes that one belongs to the party, and he starts with the example of panchayat elections where rampant violence happened, and it provokes the author to ask that what makes someone, a grassroots party worker, literally die for the party. So from there he says that in West Bengal the peculiarity is that party identity is somewhat more stronger over the years. It has gained, which is stronger than other ascriptive identities of religion, caste, and other similar identities. So this is a peculiarity of West Bengal, which is the result of the party society framework which evolved during the left front, where party became the chief mediator in every aspect of social life, from economic to familial. Every dispute was settled by the party at the grassroots, which is a peculiarity of West Bengal's politics, rural politics, in the rural areas. But he says that TMC has changed it all. What has changed? First, there is a replacement of a disciplined, structured party form to a single charismatic leader, which is Mamata Banerjee. And there is no clear hierarchy of authority or structure in the TMC, and which makes the TMC and the leader depend on community leaders or a new emerging elite. And this has given rise to what he calls franchise mode of politics. And although he says that there are sediments of the party society, and in note 2 he says that even if now we see that there is rampant examples of defection, people changing parties, one party to other, even leaders and workers, it presents a paradox that then what happens to the sense of belonging? So there he says that still there is a sense of belonging, because it's important that a partisan, even after shifting loyalty from one party to another, continue to be a partisan. The need for alignment with the party remains strong. Now, what is the franchisee mode of politics as a conceptual tool? First, what Mamata Banerjee's TMC has changed, and this shift, what he is talking about, is that one is that outsourcing social control to community leaders, and I'll come to this later again, and local control to grassroots party bosses, which is a new class of entrepreneurs. Second, he says that the brand of the party and the charisma of the leader is used by these local bosses to reap electoral benefits as well as legal and illegal business profits in exchange of support to the Mamata Banerjee's leadership. Third, there are dangers of this franchising mode of politics, conceptually. The first is that it can lead to uh, unimpaired accumulative practices by these local bosses. And this can deplete the party's popularity at the grassroots, and in which case the leader herself or himself should come and for damage control. And this has happened in case of West Bengal, where Mamata Banerjee, when the corruption charges came, she came and said that I am the candidate from all 290. Next is that what is important in this franchising mode of politics is the territory or territorial constituency is very important. And control over territory by these local bosses is arrangement cannot be disturbed. And in case any threat is there to these structure existing new form of control over territory by in this franchisee mode of politics, that must be dealt with strongly and with violence if needed. Next, that franchisee mode of politics has a transactional character, which Bhattacharya argues limits the agenda of ethno-majoritarian politics to mobilize voters along ascriptive identities. So, in a franchisee mode of politics, these are the key highlights of this emerging uh, changing situation in West Bengal. And there are four ramifications which Bhattacharya talks about in four intersecting areas. One is governmental populism, the second entrepreneurial party, third community outreach, and four polarization limits. I'll not go into the details, but I'll make a few observations based on the argument presented. First, what we see in this paper is the use of a market term to understand politics and describe political change, and which makes us provokes one to think about the larger changes in the Indian political landscape. First is that what we see that the idea of brand party and this market term, this usage and this branding is not something which came with Mamata Banerjee, in my opinion, in West Bengal. If following works, other observers who worked on the shift in the left's political position, particularly in its final years under the chief ministership of Buddhadev Bhattacharya, observer of West Bengal politics will remember that there was a very popular term called brand Buddha, which basically gained currency in the state to reincarnate the left during its last years, and a particular mode of development which is drawing private investments in infrastructure, private investment, agro-based industries, and there was an administrative development. Those were promoted in the initial years. And from Professor Bhattacharya's earlier work, we know that the left became, and he mentions it there, that a series of blunders by the left such as this led to the collapse. So land acquisition. So the mainstream left became an apologist for corporate capital, which led to its decline. So then, in this sense, the brand party that TMC now represents and the usage of a market analogy is something where there is some kind of a continuity from the late left front years. Second is that Bhattacharya says that he is interested in the peculiar character of Mamata's governmental populism. Here, one asks, one again is provoked to think that what is the peculiarity of Mamata? Because managing population groups, which also calls as targeted munificence and rolling out schemes in the norm, is perhaps the norm of Indian politics today to address the issues, albeit partly the issues of social protection and welfare. If we see other political parties, for example, INC's Nyay program, BJP's free election and DBT initiatives, or pension for housewives given by the left front in Kerala, are similar welfare schemes, and where there is the way governmental populism has been conceptualized in the paper is that there is a nobody wants to be associated with the with the profit-making big corporations. There is always a pro-poor image of the leader, where the leader manages through welfare schemes in the informal space to conceal the larger aspect of big capital controlling the larger questions of economic, political economy. So that's I would more in-depth analysis of the peculiarity of Mamata's populism and how is it different from other examples from other Indian states is something which I would like to know more about. And third is that what are the antecedents are there any antecedents or parallels of this franchisee mode of politics in India or outside India? And here also welfare schemes, the way welfare schemes act or function. In one aspect that the paper mentions is that it is this targeted munificence. Welfare schemes packaged a gift from the leader. This often makes the voters uh, calm, callous, or collusive on the voting day. This, I think, can this provokes me to ask that are we then undermining the intelligence of the Indian electorate? So that's one question I have. Now, this new entrepreneurial class, Bhattacharya has elucidated that what are the main features of this emerging class. That is a one shift is that from the upper class cultural elite, what we see is that backward class leadership emerging at the grassroots level, who crave for both recognition and defiance. So, which is not exactly the Bhadralok of the erstwhile years, the controlling elite. So there is a shift. It's corrupt and also competitive. And there is, of course, what we have been discussing, that there is what we see, there is a cronyism of the non-corporate kind emerging. Now, so is it a shift in many ways, or is it a culmination of the left's politics? Because in Bhattacharya's earlier 2009 paper in EPW of Control and Factions, I remember his ethnographic detail where one of the families, doctors, lamenting about the left front reform, and I quote the local leader said, democracy had made things upside down. The lower castes are the rulers now, and the middle classes their agents. Unquote. So it provokes us to ask that isn't it the culmination of a democratic change in rural party leadership that began under the left frontiers through its structural reforms, both on the land question as well as in the local governance? And what is the future of the Bhadralok given this change? Third, community outreach. What we see is that that there is a crisis in my own work also, drawing from Professor Bhattacharya's work. I see, and he anticipated in one of his early papers, that after the left front came up with its pro-industrialization, pro-private capital policies, it became an appeal for corporate capital, and which led to the crisis of the party society and the possibilities at that point of time where that there will be a shift towards identitarian politics of the community, which he rightly anticipated. And the crisis, what it did, in my opinion, or what I saw during my field work, is that there was a rise of community leaders. In my research, I have shown it through the organizational politics of the Motua Mahasabha. And what the community organization or the leadership did, it replaced the role of the party at the local level, at the rural level. So earlier, for example, if an arbitrary arrest or a random arrest was made, the person who would assist that detained fellow would be the party, local party worker. Now, for example, in my field work of sense, say a refugee, someone is arrested and on the pretext of being an illegal migrant, the first point of contact becomes Motua Mahasabha or the community. And the community leaders goes to the police station, negotiate with the police, and in case of they try to find a solution to mitigate the issue. So this is a major shift that has happened in the, and this is not peculiar to TMC. This is a something which is true for the left front in West Bengal today as well. For example, the ISF left front alliance, the fact that left has to go to Furfura Sharif and rope in religious leader of the organization, make an electoral pact, and then fight elections is definitely an effort on part of the left to reach out to communities. So this is not peculiar to TMC in contemporary West Bengal. I give one more example. For instance, in 2010, the left front, it was almost clear that it's going to lose the elections because of after Shingun Nodigram movement. But what it did is in 2008, it instituted an award called the Horichand Guruchand Purushkar. The award was instituted in the name of Harichand Guruchand, the Motua preceptors, the leaders. And the award was given to the then head of the organization of Motua Mahasangha, Gopal Krishna. Now, this is something, this outreach was started from the left front years, the last years of the left front, and it is true not only for the TMC, but true for other mainstream political parties, including the left. BJP, of course, is doing it right now. And this also says that why is community outreach needed? Does that mean that the party identity is getting diluted and abstractive identities are getting more prominent in the political landscape of West Bengal? Finally, Bhattacharya concludes that BJP, there is a very limited chance of BJP becoming a polar figure in West Bengal politics anytime soon. But what I understand is that BJP in 2000, of course, the BJP there is a shift in voting behavior in by-election. But by-elections, as we know, are a particular form, a type of election where there is a particular way of voting. But if we take the general elections to the state assembly, then BJP currently, at least in the last election 2021, it had 37.97% vote. And given its money power, because of the electoral bond, its use of central agencies, the weakening party society framework, increased prominence of aspective identities, it seems like BJP is the polar figure in West Bengal politics today. So I would like to hear more on this. And finally, to conclude, in contemporary West Bengal, we have an impression that we see that the paper starts with violence, and the question that what makes one die for the party. But in contemporary, two other forms of violence, which and what realize that what separates the violence or over controlling territory in case of say this new emerging elite. Uh, and what differentiates this emerging form of violence from the erstwhile form of violence under the left front was that the left represented either class violence, which was either class violence, which was represented through the peasant movements in the late colonial or the post-colonial period, or there was violence used by the local party leaders to execute pro-poor laws. But there were other forms of violence which happened from the late colonial period till the left front regime, which perhaps is the memory of those violence actually is a very instrumental in shaping voting behavior or party affiliations or political choices of the people in West Bengal. Two forms of violence which I came across repeatedly in the vernacular literature of Nomoshudur refugees and the Motuas, and also in political campaigns and speeches of leaders. One is the partition violence, which is frequently used by BJP to polarize voters, and so on. And second is a violence which was done by the left, which is the Morichapi violence, which has been used by many Dalit activists to point out the anti-refugee stance of the left after it came to power. So these are few observations that I have on the paper, but these are my initial thoughts. The paper definitely elucidates the messy world of politics and provokes us to think more about not only the important of not about party society its changing form of control in a region, or that is West Bengal.